Alright everyone, so today I wanted to go over how to build a 2-turn extreme boss farming team, and the kicker is, this team also does not use Blue Demon Meliodas. So what I wanted to do is just start off here, go into a couple of extreme boss battles back to back so you guys can see that this team does indeed farm it fairly consistently. It's not 100% of the time, but I would definitely say it's 80 to 90% of the time or higher. I get 2-turn completions, with all the other runs being 3 turns. And I don't have optimal gear quite yet. I'm still kind of working on refining a few things here. And that brings me to, after the runs, I wanted to go over some really important stuff that you're going to want to know about gear, stats, and just kind of a combination of those things in order to really get this team to work properly. Because just knowing the units themselves probably isn't going to be quite enough. So anyway, let's head into the actual boss battle here. I always like to farm Chapter 2, of course. And let's head into Extreme. And also, you do not need a specific food either. In fact, I like to keep that option open to you because, like, for boss battles on Extreme, they drop a really large amount of base gold at 6,000. So using gold food is going to give you 12,000 gold per run, which is going to increase your farming efficiency quite a bit. So you could use any type of food there. And let's head in. Now, the really crucial thing about this team is we want to be able to kill one of the enemy units on the first turn. And that's really crucial because in boss battles, you've got 4 enemies, but only 3 of them can actually be up at a time. So if we kill one of those units on the first turn, then what's going to happen is the last unit is actually going to swap in right when it's the enemy's turn. And then when we take our second turn, we're going to have enough damage in order to just bring everything down. So in a lot of cases, people think that skill right there that Elizabeth Elliehawk actually uses is not that great because it's single target. But in the situation of boss battles, it's actually a pretty good skill. Alright, so we killed one enemy, which is perfect. That's all we need to do in order to get the last one to spawn here. And then this wave will have enough damage in order to bring the rest of the enemies down. And we'll do another run after this so you can see that it is quite consistent. Alright, we actually had a spare card there on that one. Okay. Alright, let's do one more here. And that'll go over all the important information that you want to know about this team. And how to really get it to work well together. Okay. Alright. So, of course, that card that Elliehawk has where she does single target is actually not that bad in boss battles because it, you know, allows us to do some extra damage to a single enemy. And as long as it's just the single enemy that goes down in the first wave, we're still going to have enough damage to bring down everything on the second turn. So now, there are some rare circumstances where you just get really bad card draws and there's just absolutely nothing you can do about it. In that case, it will occasionally be a 3-turn run. But keep in mind that I also do not have Pierce gear on Elliehawk yet. Only on Hauser. And there's still a lot of work that can be done with my actual gear itself as well. So there's lots of room for improvement still. And I would say right now, probably 80 to 90% or so that it gets done in 2 turns. But with the proper gear and kind of having this refined a little bit more, it'll probably be 99 or 100% of the time. So, all right, there we go. So now I wanted to go over some really important information to actually know about this team and how it works well together. And you probably noticed that we are not using Blue Demon Meliodas. And that's actually really important because I tried with the same gear, the same stats, I tried to get a consistent 2-turn Blue Meliodas team, but there are 2 major problems with Blue Demon Meliodas right now. And I'm working on trying to, you know, find a fix for them and have a team to really showcase him being able to farm, you know, this in 2 turns. But the thing is, it always uses his corrosion card first. That's a problem, because that's 1 card off your first turn that essentially does nothing. And the corrosion is just not great for farming, because it's a slow card, it does damage slowly, And all farming is we're really trying to get things as quickly as possible. So it essentially just wastes a third of our turn. So now instead of 3 cards, we only have 2. And then a lot of the times, the AI also does not like to prioritize his AoE Pierce card. So it always uses the corrosion card, and then sometimes you don't even get his AoE Pierce card off on the first turn. It's that combination of things that makes him very difficult to, work around. But, it's possible. He's not bad or anything like that. It's just very difficult to get him to do specific things based off of the way that his AI works. So now, anyway, let's actually go over this team right here and what is really important about it. So this is the team right here. And of course, Blue Lillia is very crucial for this team. She recently came out, and the main thing about her that's crucial is her unique ability here. This is going to give 50% of her pierce rate to everybody else. And the thing is, if you do not have SSR gear that's got a lot of pierce on it, the good news is Blue Lillia is really, I like to say, you can think of her more of as a utility or support unit than an actual damaging unit herself, which means having her gear be SSR is not as important as making sure that her top items here, the bracelet and the ring, has as much pierce on it as possible. You can see here that I could even still get a little bit more refined on the bracelet and a little bit more refined on the ring. But this is much more important than having like an SSR bracelet and a ring that only has 18 to 20% pierce. It's super crucial. It's not just for her, it's for your entire team. And, you're really not going to be getting a lot of damage out of her specifically. Her cards are very low in terms of the total damage that this team actually does. So getting pierce on her is the absolute #1 priority. Survivability as well across all the units, not really a big priority. A lot of people are saying work with an HP set for Blue Lillia. For PvP, maybe, but for PvE content, especially farming and getting runs done as quickly as possible, we don't need survivability. We don't need HP. We don't need to inflate our combat class. Anything that we can do to get any extra damage any way possible is going to be the top priority for farming. So she is very, very crucial. Now, of course, we have Hauser here. Hauser is just one of the best farmers in the game, and I actually do have my Pierce gear on Hauser. So you can see that he's got these bracelets, still has some work that could be done though. He has his ring, still has even more work that could be done there, missing 6% on that. And it's not UR or anything like that. I kind of wanted to do it, but I'm waiting. I wanted to show you guys that even without perfect gear, you can still make a 2-turn boss farming team. With things even more refined, this team will be much, much better. But the crucial thing about Hauser is just the fact that he does a lot of AoE damage. I mean, you've got his Pierce card, which is fantastic. But even his other card here, the thing is, when you compare Hauser to Blue Demon Meliodas, he doesn't have like a dead card for farming, right? Like this card, even though it's not as good as his Pierce card, it's still better than Blue Demon Meliodas' Corrosion card, right? Like, okay, sure, it does a little bit of extra, it does some extra damage because the increased crit chance, it still does damage, it still helps their team clear out stuff. So, obviously, the real big damage, though, is going to end up coming from this Rising Storm card right here, and his unique also helps a little bit as well. Now, the other unit here is Green Elihawk, and Green Elihawk is actually pretty important. Now, I do not have Pierce gear on Green Elihawk right now, so everything that you guys saw was actually with attack gear on her, and could definitely use a lot of work as well. So, considering that her AoE ability is Pierce-based, it's absolutely, if you can put Pierce on her, it's definitely going to make this easier. So I could do quite a bit more damage if I actually had a little bit different gear on her. But she also has 2 cards that somehow help your team, right? You don't have like a Corrosion card, which really doesn't do a whole lot for a quick farming team. Now, obviously, this card is really good. It's like Hauser's card, right? It's an AoE Pierce. Big damage from this, especially if you have Pierce gear on her. But then this card right here, you probably noticed, like a lot of people don't really like this card for certain situations because it's only single target. But specifically in a boss battle where you have 4 enemies and then 3 of them can be active at a time, all you really need to do is kill 1 of them on the first turn to get that second unit up, and then do enough damage to kill all 3 of them on the second turn, and you're good to go. So this card is actually not bad. It's probably not as good as an AoE card, but it still has some viable use for the purpose of what your team is, which is, clearing as quick as possible. And of course, her unique here increases all allies' HP-related stats by 10% in all battles except PvP and Deathmatch. Not super crucial or anything, just an added little bonus right there. Now, of course, something to note is I'm not using Green Merlin, who I was using for a really long time, because Green Merlin gives the unique orb, right? But we don't need that. This team is not about ultimates. Did I say unique? I meant ultimate, by the way. This team, we're not worrying about ultimates at all. We're not going to get them off, so we don't need Green Merlin as our, sub-member. Who we actually have is Death Pierce, and my Death Pierce is only level 60. No reason to really bring him up to level 80, because the main purpose to Death Pierce is simply his unique right here. Decreases all enemies' crit resistance and crit defense by 30%. I'm sure there's probably other units that you could actually use in his place. I would still have to do a little bit of experimentation and kind of swapping this out and seeing if using somebody else instead of Death Pierce is going to, increase the tankiness and survivability of the enemies to the point where it's going to make me a lot less likely to do 2 turns. My guess is probably not when I improve my gear more, but right now, I'm kind of like getting close to the cusp of not being able to do 2 turns, 10 to 20% of the time. So I'd have to definitely do some experimentation to see, but this is a very, very nice unique right here. It's universal. It's not based off of speed enemies only or, human allies only like someone's are. It's all enemies, and it increases the damage that they take essentially. So that's it. That's the only purpose to him. And besides that, the order as well, I still have to do a little bit of experimentation. I've still found that Hauser on the left for a possible merge. If you get a little bit of extra damage off on the first turn, that's fine. The only thing I would say is just not to have blue Lillia on the absolute left. You definitely want her on the right here. Not there, right there. And then, I guess this might not make too big of a difference. I'd have to do a little bit of experimentation, but I found that the order that I have right here seems to work the best. Now, the last thing is the associations. And the associations, I just wanted to get as much stats as possible. So, of course, I've got attack for Blue Gia, right? And she's also 6 out of 6, so I get 10% of her stats on Hauser. And then on Green Elihawk, I have Meliodas for the attack bonus as well. In addition to, of course, I'm using Blue Meliodas, so it's 10% of his basic stats added. Blue Lillia, it's not really that important here. I could use actually, I don't know why. I should probably be using one of my Merlins, but I decided to go with the extra stats. She's not really responsible for too much of the damage, so, it's not super important. This is not a make or break, right? Because she's not doing that much of the damage. And then also for Death Pierce, it's not a make or break. I just picked Green King because I have him 6 out of 6. So just a little bit of extra stats. But, yeah, this is what I've been doing to farm boss battles in 2 turns. I hope you guys were able to get a ton of information out of this video, and I hope that it did help out. So if you guys enjoyed and you want more videos like this in the future, or you want me to do more showcases of certain teams and kind of like what their PvE capabilities are, feel free to let me know, and I can always work on putting more out in the future. So with that all being said, if you enjoyed and you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a like as well if you enjoyed this video. I really, really do appreciate all the support, everyone, so thank you so much. Taking a quick second to leave a like, subscribe, do all that stuff means more than you can imagine, especially considering we are so close to 5,000 subscribers already, which is absolutely awesome. And more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now, or in the suggested videos to your right or below. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care, everyone, and this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.